Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Good day, viewers, and welcome to another program, Agriculture on the Move. I am Philip Sydney. The Honorable Moses Jabatis is the minister responsible for agriculture, cooperatives, and fisheries. That is in the Ministry of Agriculture. The preparation of work programs, the evaluation, and also implementation of those programs are being done at a lower level. And with me today is Dr. Felix Jaria, who is the Director of Agricultural Services, and also Mr. Barry Innocent, who is the Deputy Director of Agricultural Services in the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Production, Fisheries, Cooperatives, and Rural Development. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jaria, I know you have been in that hot seat not very, very long, and of course I know it's very challenging for you, but I think we are heading well. I think we have a captain that is steering that ship in the direction that we want to go. Today we're focusing on the Department of Agriculture. As director, tell us the functions of that department.
Okay, thank you for your vote of confidence. Well, the Department of Agriculture is one of the four other departments of the Ministry of Agriculture. There's the Fisheries Department, there's the Corporate Planning, there's also cooperatives, and then there's the Department of Agriculture. We can encapsulate the work in three main components. One is regulatory and surveillance, one is production, and the third component is technical assistance. So the work of the ministry can be encapsulated in these three main components. But there are two main program areas: livestock development program and crop development program. And under these two main program areas, there are sub-programs. For example, under the crop development program, there are 6 sub-programs. There is plant production supplies, there is plant health, there is also production support services, there is extension support services, there is the tissue culture component, and there's technology adaptation and implementation. So that's under the crop development component. So maybe I'll probably leave the other part for the livestock development program for Mr. Innocent, who would share the.
Well, Mr. Innocent, I think you can continue right there with the other component.
Okay, so the other component is the livestock development program. Under that, you have the Bosiju Agricultural Station, you have production support services, you have animal health, right? And but under this program, I must say that we've had a little success. For me, it's a big success actually. That is, under that program, through the Veterinary and Livestock Services Division, which is the main division of the 5 divisions that Dr. Jaria mentioned, that is implementive when it comes to the livestock development program. And through their great work, the country is currently self-sufficient in production of table eggs. To me, that's a success for the department.
And that has been there for a while, eh?
For yes, a few years. But they've been able to successfully maintain it, okay. And I'm very happy to make mention of it. When you look at our department also, if we just delve a little deeper also, our department also interfaces with other departments in joint departmental or interdepartmental activities or programs. For example, the cooperative department that Dr. Jaria mentioned, we interface with them on the borders of farmer group formation, group dynamics, institutional strengthening of those groups, farmer cooperatives, and now with the new bill coming in, the new Cooperative Societies Bill, where the role has been moved from developmental to more regulatory. We were now looking forward to them working with us as a different department, more in the regulatory services towards our farmer cooperatives and our farmer groups. And we also have the fisheries department that we also interface with in our joint programming areas. And with the fisheries department, we look at stuff like aquaculture, hydroponics, permaculture. That is where a pond is constructed, and for the uses for the works of the engineering division from our department, and fish is growing in there, or shrimp or prawns, or even plants. And when it comes to this interface with fisheries department, it's more along that line. And then if you go further, the corporate planning unit, we will do a lot of things like crop monitoring, where we collect the data for it, or surveys, or even agricultural census. So we do a lot of data collection for them on the field, and then they're responsible for now processing that information so we can make more informed decisions. All right? Now, I don't want to...
But going back to the livestock,
yeah.
I heard you mention about eggs.
Yes.
And egg production. We are self-sufficient thus far, which I would like to see continue.
Yes.
I know there are challenges with the other elements like the pork and also the poultry. Just briefly mention where are we now and what's the way forward?
Okay, with the pork production, we are currently encouraging our pig farmers to meet certain standards of food and health and food safety and health safety. We are now doing some, not only pigs and also other livestock farmers, we're now going through farmer certification processes for them, where they're trained in how to meet certain levels and standards for the production of those meats. Likewise, poultry production, same thing. As it stands right now, the level of poultry production is increasing. I know we had a 40% of local market share, and at one time it was just 25% that's been used, but now it's up to 28% being used. So there is progress in terms of broiler production. But let me also mention that we have about, going back to egg production, because that's one of our great successes, we have about 42 farmers involved in this process, and I'm quite happy to say that. All right? And the other thing I wanted to mention about this is there's a new program coming in. I know you wanted to ask about it a little later, but there's a new program coming in called the Artificial Insemination Program, which is geared towards supporting the small ruminants, the pig farmers that you mentioned, and to encourage this improved production of livestock production.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited about that program. That's the IPSA project. Yes. That's the resuscitation of the Bosejo Livestock Station. And of course, I know recently we received some stock from overseas to actually strengthen what we have here now. Right. So I am very excited about that. Just give us briefly, what's the way forward of this, so people can understand what's happening?
If I were to just add a bit here, the new flock that have come in is to assist with production. So these will be kept at Bosejo. In fact, Bosejo, part of the ISBA project, India, South Africa, and Brazil, the ISBA project, have combined to provide funding for that project. One of the objectives is to make Bosejo a center of excellence for livestock, all right? And towards this end, we are looking at, as Mr. Innocent indicated, artificial insemination. We're also looking at our breeds, improving our breeds, and hence the reason we recently received quite a bit of small ruminants to assist us in that vein, so that we would produce the animals and then supply them to farmers who can subsequently improve their breeds. So I think that's a very good initiative. Yes. And a lot of farmers have shown interest.
That point, we are moving fast. We are due for our first break. Okay, you are watching Agriculture on the Move. We are due for our first break. Back soon.
Black sigatoka is a fungal disease which affects the leaves of banana and plantain plants. It causes a reduction in the size of the bunch and the quality of the fruit. In commercial banana and plantain production, black sigatoka disease is controlled with chemical as well as non-chemical measures. Chemical measures involve the application of spray oil and fungicides. However, it is neither practical nor safe to use agrochemicals to control black sigatoka in backyard gardens. Non-chemical measures include good agronomic and cultural practices such as weed control and proper drainage. Affected parts of leaves should be pruned or cut off from the plant. use a clean, sharp cutlass or knife. Infected leaves should be disposed of properly or added to a compost heap.
For more information on how to treat and control black sigatoka on your farm or in your backyard garden, contact the Black Sigatoka Management Unit at 451-5491, 451-5894, or email bpmu@candw.lc. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Agriculture in collaboration with the International Cooperation and Development Fund of the Republic of China on Taiwan.
Welcome back to the program. You're watching Agriculture on the Move. I'm excited about the Department of Agriculture because overall the objective is to bring down our food import bill and of course for us to eat healthier. That is what we want to do. Dr. Jaria, there are so many other areas, but in that short span of time we have to be quick. Could you delve into some of the other areas that you would like to focus on?
Okay, the Department of Agriculture is really the hub of the Ministry of Agriculture.
Definitely.
And there are 5 divisions under the Department of Agriculture. There is the vet and livestock, which we spoke about a while ago. There's a propagation unit that its function is primarily to produce crops and tissue culture products in order for distribution to farmers. We have also the research section, which does a bit of surveillance, quarantine, inspection. They also do varietal trials along with production, more technological advancements in agriculture. We have the engineering division, which is a very critical component of the department that does work in irrigation, drainage, soil conservation, land preparation, tillage, and things of that nature. So
biogas digestion.
As well as biogas digestion. And there's also the extension division, which play a vital role in the work of the ministry because they are our mouthpiece, so to speak. They provide the agrarian community with the information as it relates to what is developed, the ministry's plans, and things of that nature. So they play a very vital role.
Let us look at the annual work program, as we mentioned all of those elements. How is the program of work prepared? What's the formula?
That's a very opportune question.
Well, what we did up until last week, they had the heads of division meeting where the various heads come together. Now, each head interfaces in the agronomical community or the farming community. And they come back and provide information through their field officers. So what you find happen, for example, the extension division, who interfaces with the farmers quite regularly, they'll be able to tell us, for example, what they deem to be the level of plant propagation needed, or what number of plants will be needed. And a meeting like what took place last week with the various heads of divisions, they'll be able to tell the extension and various services division, being that the individual farmers can now at that meeting in developing the work program, tell the plant propagation division, an idea of the number of plants that they can produce. Because they will be interested in the farmers and know what the farmers' needs are. So the plant propagation then can plan around making sure that these plants are available during the work program period or epoch, right? Likewise, at the same time, the research and development unit with the expertise in plant health, the extension advisory services can tell them, well, what they see on the ground to be the major pests and diseases affecting the farmers. And in the program planning area, like we did last week, the head of the research and development division could now put his program to interface with the extension and various service division program, where he can provide the systems of plant health, right? And likewise, the other synergies happening. For example, you have the livestock division now interfacing with the extension division again, because what you can find happening sometimes is the livestock manure, right, which can be a natural organic fertilizer for the plant crops. So you have that interface can happen also. Likewise, and it goes even further, even with our department and the fisheries department, in terms of joint programming, our role in the ministry as a whole. Recently, we've been discussing with Mr. Von Syria, who is the one leading the aquaculture ponds. There's been a lot of discussion about now when the aquaculture farmers, or those that are growing fish or shrimp or prawns in constructed ponds on land, right? When they're harvesting this fish or prawns, instead of just having the water just flow out, now there's discussion about trying to have these fish farmers, freshwater fish farmers, have that water diverted as a form of irrigation system. So you have all these different type of synergies happening there, and the program's supposed to speak to that.
But there are challenges. I know, for example, when it comes to plant propagation and the quantum of plants that the farmers want out there. I don't know if you were around, if you were, in the meetings we had around the island, this consultative meetings we had. That came up where farmers are saying they are not getting the planting material required for them. The extension officer gives them a requisition, and when they get there, they do not get that. So what are the problems there?
Well, that's a problem of resource availability. To produce those planting materials, it takes a lot of resources, including financial, including all the different inputs that come into us producing those planting materials. And what had happened in that period of time is there was an issue with availability of resources. So what the plant propagation interface with the director and myself and the other divisions, what it was decided upon is that whereas a farmer would have an invoice for a plant requisition for, say, 10 plants, we decided to more or less share the love. So instead of giving a farmer 20 plants, you bring it down to a certain minimum per farmer. So the farmer might get what he wanted, but at least he gets something, and more people can get than one person get everything. So this was some of the dynamics of the situation. But we're past that now, and we have more or less have that in rectification process.
And just to add a bit, sometimes the preference changes over the year. For example, there's been an increase in the need for citrus plants because they seem to be the one that sells more readily. Now, it takes the propagation unit about 18 months to produce a plant from the seed to the market. Now, if you change midway in the cycle, you can understand the ability to produce the volume of crops that you require would be quite difficult. So that is another issue. When midway during the cycle, there's a change in interest of the farmer. All right?
So, but the other thing too, I know there are challenges, and I know that you're working on it, because it's not an easy thing, you know, extension office and the farmers. I know there are many, teething problems. I know that are there.
But not cutting you short, but one of the ways that we've been able to address that, especially for this coming work program, is that when the extension presented their work program, then the propagation unit know exactly what crops that they require. And we have agreed to produce the quantum of crops that are required for each particular crop that is recommended by the extension department. So we are addressing this in a tangible way this time around.
Very good. There are other programs. Just before we get into our breaks, I think we'll have to speak about them. I know there is the cocoa project. There's also the coffee. There's the coconut project. And I think we will talk about the coconut just about going into our break. But I just want to think of that because we're going to our last segment, and I would like you all to, emphasize so the people out there know exactly what is on the run, what is happening, what programs are there tailored for them specifically. Okay. You're watching Agriculture on the Move. We are due for our second break. We'll be back soon.
Family time is a healthy time, and a healthy family eats smart. Local fish and seafood from fishermen and farmers that you trust with your family's health is always fresh. Choose fresh seafood because it's packed with nutrients. St. Lucia's fish and seafood producers meet every government standard for health and safety, high quality, fresh local food products straight from the fisherman to you. Choose St. Lucian fish and seafood at your local grocers and choose a healthy lifestyle for your entire family.
I use fresh local fish right there from the fisheries department. Eat fresh, buy local.
St. Lucia's fishermen produce an abundance of fresh foods, highly nutritious and incredibly tasty. Together when it's most important. Healthy families. Buy fresh, eat fresh.
Welcome back to the program. Barry, I know the coconut project is your pet project, and it's very close to you.
I didn't say my pet project. It's Mr. George project, Mrs. George project, plan project, all this.
No. I know how passionate you are. I know how passionate you are, and I think that's, it's like my minister. When he speaks about the Ministry of Agriculture and the programs, you know, he is so passionate about, and there's nothing wrong in being passionate about what you do and what you like to do. But tell us a little briefly on the coconut project.
Okay, very briefly, at this, if I were to give a status report, the plants have remained stable. We have about 5,745 plants surviving so far and doing well. We purchased 5,000, as I've said before. We purchased 5,000, but they gave us an additional 2,050 plants because they knew of the 18.5% likely death rates due to the acclimatization process. So, so far, we are almost 2 to 3 months going, and we still have, in addition to our 5,000 we actually purchased, we have an additional 745 plants doing quite well. And Harry, I brought one to show you actually, Jason. I thought you might have asked that question. So I brought one so the public can see. I know the customer's seen plants with a big nut, but these are tissue culture plants, not GMO, but tissue culture plants, and this is what a standard of what one looks like. You see, there's no big nut, but it went through a process of cell division, where a part of the somatic cell of the plant is taken, and one cell divides into 2 into 4, and then you have what we have right now.
Okay, so how soon will that be available to the farmers?
Well, we're looking at possibly the hardening process is about 7 to 8 months, which should start at the ending of about May. And then that should take us through the end of the year. And then we're looking hopefully that because of the acclimatization process, the Mexican protocol is about 7 to 8 months, but we're hoping, we think it might take a little longer because St. Lucia is not Mexico, it's a different type of climate. So we're looking at possibly next year, early next year sometime, we're hoping that they should have reached the 1 meter height, average about 1 meter height, to be ready to go into the ground.
Okay, great.
Right now, right now they're just about 19 inches, as you can see.
Okay. Jaria, one of the elements that farmers are craving for is the question of mechanization. Now, tell us what's happening now.
Okay, I think that's in fact, yesterday I had a meeting with the the senior agricultural engineer to discuss the whole issue of the mechanization of the department. We got some hand tillers, both under the YAP project and under the FAO project. And we also have two big tractors that we use for plowing. What we have found is that most of our farmers around the island have very small plots, all right? 1/4 of an acre, 1/2 an acre. And sometimes most of these plots require primary tillage. So what we find is that it's not cost effective generally to transport an entire machine, the big machine, from its point, whether it be in Castries or in Dennery, to, for example, Roseau for 1/2 an acre. So what we encourage the farmers to do through the extension office is that they identify a number of farmers who are interested. And when the number have come in to about 5 acres, we move in and plow all the lands for the farmers. Now, there's another issue here. Sometimes the farmers indicate that they are ready, but they're not quite ready because the lands are not cleared, and so it further frustrates the process. So if a motion comes and you've claimed that you have 5 acres and you want to do it, if you have to wait for the land to be cleared, it wastes time. So that's some of the problems. But we are embarking on a rigid and an effective program where we can service the needs of the farmers in a very tangible and effective way. So we have a special unit set aside whose job is to assess and also to provide the service. There's a cost to it because in order for the project to be sustainable, the mechanization component to be sustainable, there needs to be a fee. Farmers have to pay. It's not a free for all because even to buy tires, for example, we spent $7,000 to buy 2 tires for the tractor. So, I mean, it has to come from somewhere. So farmers have to realize that they need to pay for the service. But we're certainly moving along to provide that service in a tangible way.
Quickly, the cocoa project, where is that?
You mean the coffee project?
The coffee, cocoa.
Okay, the coffee project. Well, it was announced by the Prime Minister that we should pursue the coffee project. Well, as soon as we heard that, we were proactive on that, and we proceeded before funding was provided to collect the seeds and to plant 10,000
Produce 10,000
plants. I'm happy to tell you that the plants will be ready. In fact, they're growing right now, and they'll be ready for the onset of the wet season this year. All right, we have 10,000 plants ready to be planted, but we are waiting for the onset of the rain, because we don't want to plant it now, especially our dry season could extend up to August, and that would be quite challenging
and
for
most
the
of our
plants.
farmers are open range and irrigation systems.
Rain-fed. Right? We also have, let me just quickly say, we have the Moroccan project. There's a soil fertility project. Well, the Moroccans assist us in two areas. They assist us with the fertilizer. This year we got 16 20-foot containers of fertilizer, about 8,000 bags of fertilizer. So we were able to give 3,000 to the banana farmers and share the rest among vegetable farmers around the island. So I think all in all, our farmers benefited from that in a very tangible way. The other component of it is the development of a soil fertility map, where at some point, the project is 4 years. We've just gone through the first year of the project, where the aim is to develop a web-based infrastructure so that farmers can access their lands on the internet and know what is the current nutrient status of their soil and what is required of them in order to bring it to a particular level. And it could also be crop specific in terms of knowing what are the nutrient requirements for the particular crop that you're interested in. So that is a little way down the line, but we are moving towards that direction.
And further to that, we also have our department also has a very successful school feeding program.
Yes.
The school feeding program is so successful that our St. Lucia, which I'm proud to be a St. Lucian, the model that we have, the other countries from the Caribbean come into St. Lucia to study our model and reap the success of it and see what they can learn to replicate it in their countries.
Very good.
We have about, about 13 schools identified for the school feeding program, and we have about 26 schools that technical support services are given to. And also, I brought this also quickly because the farmer that produces this agro-processing product that's virgin coconut oil, and he benefited from our agricultural incentives program. Because a young man that came to us, came to Dr. Jaria and myself, and he needed some assistance, and we enabled him through the agricultural incentives program to give him concessions on the inputs he required to produce this product. And I'm happy to say that at the last Chamber of Commerce award ceremony, he got Best Young Entrepreneur of the Year. Entrepreneur of the Year. So I'm very happy to say that's his product, virgin coconut oil.
Very good.
Yes.
But final words from you.
Yeah, there is still a lot of work to be done. We are targeting primary production, but there is the scope for value added, and we are working towards that. And next year promises to be an exciting year for our farming community. We are currently reviewing our policy document. It came to an end this year, and last year actually, and we are developing a new policy document. So hopefully by the end of this year, we would have that policy document finished, and we'll be able to impact agriculture.
Very quickly.
You mentioned the food import bill. So we are now conceptualizing a project that deals directly with that, where the crops that we spend a lot of millions of dollars importing that can be grown locally, that will be dealt with.
I'm happy to
that
say
includes that includes onion, carrots, and a few others.
Cabbage,
also
all the broccolis and stuff.
Yes, all that we can grow locally that's important. Yeah. So it will put a dent in the money leaving the country.
Definitely, I know it as well.
Right? And we're also looking at an agricultural modernization program.
I'll have to end you there because we have a lot to do.
No problem.
Yes, gentlemen, I want to thank you for being here, Dr. Jaria and of course Barry. I hope, of course, you'll continue that program. I know everything is going not as smoothly, it's challenging, but I think we are making some headway. Thank you again for being here, and I wish you success. You've been watching Agriculture on the Move. Well, to thank you, the viewers, for viewing. Thank you, the technicians at NTN, Dwayne and his team, and continue to view the program every week. I'm Philip Sidney saying goodbye and see you again. God bless. Thank you, gentlemen. I think the program.
Agriculture on the move.
Agriculture mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agriculture mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agriculture mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agriculture mouvement.